Well, hello, I'm Ross Galabreeze, executive editor of the Herald-Star and the Weirton Daily Times.
I'm Paul Gianamore, guy who does a little bit of everything for the Herald-Star and the Weirton Daily Times.
And we're here for a very special edition of Ohio Valley This Week.
That's right, Ross. It's time for the speaker series. First off, I think we need to talk about our new title sponsor for the speaker series.
Right, we're very excited about this, Paul. Trinity Health System, which has been a longtime supporter of the series, has stepped up now to become the presenting sponsor. So the new name is Trinity Health System Presents the Herald-Star Speaker Series.
Which is just fantastic, and we do thank them for that to help us to keep what, by all accounts, by the folks who come to see it, is a pretty high-quality series for this area.
It's become a very highly anticipated event. We try to do 2 a year, one in the fall, one in the spring. It's something the community has really come to appreciate.
And enough playing around with this. Let's tell them who's coming and when.
Well, we're very excited to announce that our next presenter is going to be retired Air Force General Michael V. Hayden. Now, he's the former director of the CIA and the National Security Agency.
And he was the head of the NSA during a very vital period of the last decade when there was the NSA leaped into the headlines, wasn't he?
Yeah, correct. They were heavily involved in cyber intelligence. He was heavily involved in the intelligence community, before and after September 11th.
He actually was director of the NSA at Fort Meade, Maryland from 1999 to 2005. And folks may remember the domestic call database. That all kind of occurred under General Hayden's watch.
That did, and part of his presentation, of course, is his book, which is called Playing to the Edge, American Intelligence in the Age of Terror. And he goes into those programs in pretty great detail in there. He said, he said, what the biggest problem, the biggest difficulty with this problem is they're trying to mine information, but they're not allowed to capture information from citizens of the United States.
Which, how do you go through the gigantic haystack that we create every day with our millions and millions of cell phones and text messages saying, honey, I'm going to go get some butter, versus the butter may mean something quite different in the hands of someone else.
He said, he writes in the book that it's very, very difficult, and he said, quite frankly, of course, there have been times where conversations between American citizens have been captured. They've been deleted. They're taken out of the system. They do everything they can to make sure that they're just gathering information from overseas, from outside of this country, that might be used against us.
He's been an interesting man. He's taken some stands. I mean, he believes in what he does, and he believes he's keeping us safe. And by all accounts, by what's happened in this country, we haven't exactly been attacked by international forces since September 11th.
That's correct.
He has made some statements which people tend to get a little antsy about, saying that searches and seizures under the Fourth Amendment are not necessarily a probable cause situation versus a unreasonable situation. And it plays on that whole definition of what is an unreasonable search or seizure.
Right. He writes in his book, and he keeps going back to it several times, that the thing with security agencies, it doesn't matter whether it's the CIA or whether you're Iran's in intelligence agency, when a catastrophe happens, when a September 11th happens, for instance, people always say, well, how could you not see this coming? But then later, when there are questions about improper use of the surveillance, the public says, well, you're doing way too much. So he said it's finding that balancing act, that fine line between unreasonable and the other interpretations of the Fourth Amendment.
And I hope that he gets into the fact that, yes, it's electronic, it's digital, we're into cyber terrorism, but this isn't unprecedented in the history of the United States. I mean, we did things during World War I. We did things during World War II. We've done things since the founding of this country. These rules and it's what's wonderful about the Constitution, is these rules are adaptable based on the situation you're in. And it's just as you said, in good times, we're just, hey, let's, lay off of that. But when it's a scary time, we want someone to step in. Does he get into that history a little bit?
He does. And he talks about the distinct line between the CIA and the FBI, for instance, because as National Security Advisor, he actually has had a lot of work to do with both organizations. But the CIA specifically, by charter, by law, is to center on activities outside the United States, and the FBI is supposed to handle activities in the United States. But as information techniques, information gathering techniques have changed so greatly since the CIA was formed after World War II, there's a fine line there, and they're always going up to it. He said sometimes they cross it. They try not to. When they cross it, they try to be as transparent as they can be, saying we may have crossed this line, and they believe in congressional oversight. They believe he believes in congressional oversight. He believes in trying to do the job the right way, and said he will. And again, that gets back to the title of the book, Playing to the Edge.
And it goes back to, for those of us who lived through it, wrote about it, wrote opinion pieces about it in the time, after September 11th, and if you read the 9/11 Commission report, a lot was made about the fact that the FBI had some knowledge, the CIA had some knowledge, the NSA had some knowledge, and there were these walls that the laws at that point in time, the FBI agent who had all the information couldn't pick up the phone and talk to a CIA guy about what he knew and when he knew it. So this is really, really good stuff that I think folks are going to want to hear. They're going to want to come and listen to General Hayden.
Right, and the timing I don't think could be any better because since Donald Trump took the oath of office as president, certainly the National Security Advisor has been in the news a lot.
It'll be interesting to hear his views on just what Donald Trump has done and said regarding the National Security Agency and the CIA and his verbal assaults on the intelligence community since he's taken office. Again, the Speaker Series has had some really up-to-date things. We always try to present a speaker who is relevant to the situation of the day. And by goodness, I think you've done it again, Ross.
It seems we really have. We're, again, quite proud of the series. It started with Clint Hill and Lisa McCubbin, and then we had Antonio and Jonna Mendez. Certainly, they were connected with the CIA.
Argo, they were here right about the time Argo, the movie, came out.
Yeah, and then Captain Richard Phillips.
Right about the time Captain Phillips was big.
We had Mark Tillman on September 11th. Mark Tillman, the pilot of Air Force One. The
anniversary, and that was a fascinating one for me. I of course, love airplanes and love Air Force One, and it was just a fun one for me. They all have been, though, really.
Yeah, Rebecca Gregory and Janine Pirro right before the election.
A couple of other things about General Hayden. This is not just some guy from out there in the nebulous beyond. If you drive around Heinz Field, you may notice a street named General Michael V. Hayden Boulevard.
Yeah, he was born in Pittsburgh, and actually by reading his book, you'll find out that the house he lived in was one of the houses that were torn down when they built Three Rivers Stadium. So he's a Pittsburgher, very, very connected to the tri-state area, graduate of Duquesne.
Bachelor of Arts in History and a Master's in History from Duquesne. Also was in Pitt's Air Force ROTC program, so he covers both major schools in Pittsburgh, which should be a draw for everybody.
Sure. He is a man of deep faith. He writes in his book that the first time he was ever in his life in a classroom that did not have a crucifix in the wall is when he started to take military training.
And he also spoke at Franciscan University, did he not, Ross?
He delivered the commencement address in 2012, and he actually makes reference to that in his book.
In the book. Yeah. Wonderful. So we now know who this gentleman is. Oh, also a very big Steelers fan.
Huge Steelers fan, huge. And a Pirates fan as well.
Yes.
He writes in his book, again, remembered, talk about shared experiences, sitting in front of his house and listening to the Pirates on the radio, collecting pop bottles on a Saturday morning to get enough money to go sit in the bleachers at Forbes Field. So, he really ties this area.
Wonder if he ever met Bob Prince.
He doesn't say that. They wouldn't. They probably would have had the opportunity to do that, but he talks about going to the Super Bowls with the Steelers.
Wow.
And he says that times have changed for him. Of course, he said the first Super Bowl he was involved in, he remembered listening to it on Armed Forces radio while stationed overseas. He said the last two he had the opportunity to watch from the owner's box.
Yeah, but he's not sitting in the bleachers eating his hot dog anymore. When and where and ticket information, Ross. We certainly have a fascinating speaker coming in with a relevant topic to our times. How do folks get to see him?
Well, he is going to speak April 27th. That's a Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. at Lanman Hall at Catholic Central High School. Tickets are going to go on sale March 13th, and there are several different levels that people can buy tickets at.
Okay.
Just a regular reserve seat ticket to hear him speak is $20.
Mm-hmm.
We've added a preferred level of seating this year. For $50, you're going to get a seat near the front of the auditorium and a paperback version of Playing to the Edge.
Okay.
Which the general has agreed to stay and sign afterward.
Oh, great.
Now, if you really want to get involved with the event, we would recommend that you purchase a VIP ticket. And those packages are $150 for 2 tickets, $100 for 1 ticket. And you're going to get a copy of the book, Playing to the Edge, and you're going to get admission to a private reception before the event.
Those are always great events. The speakers are usually very relaxed. You get to spend some time conversing with them, come away with a photograph with them, usually really good conversation. It's a good way to immerse yourself in the event.
Right.
Or to have, give that to workers and have your employees become immersed in the event. Either way, it's supporting a great series. We're trying to bring something a little above to the community.
Right.
And, my goodness, who do they contact?
Well, they can contact, if you're interested in buying a ticket or a book, you can contact Diana Brown at the Herald-Star office, 740-283-4711. You're welcome to walk into the office and buy a ticket or a book. You're also going to be able to buy tickets online.
Online, okay, at?
Well, you're going to go to the Herald-Star website and then follow the links to the tickets.
And that is heraldstaronline.com.
Right.
While you're there, check out the news headlines of the day that we work on so diligently every day of the week. And we certainly hope folks will participate. These have been well attended, well accepted. Again, the folks who put this together, Ross and the committee, are always looking for the speakers who are just relevant to the day's events. There has not been a clunker in the bunch, and I certainly figure a 4-star general with NSA and CIA experience at this point in our history, we can't go wrong. This is going to be a great evening.
Well, we certainly hope so, Paul, and we certainly anticipate, actually. And again, we have a committee that really works hard to make these events possible, and sponsors who have been with us from the very beginning. We're talking about Trinity, of course. We're talking about the Franciscan University of Steubenville, Eastern Gateway Community College, Cattrall Companies Incorporated, and our newest sponsor, which is EasyToUse.com. Those are the main sponsors. We get help from the Jefferson County Chamber of Commerce, our good friends at WTRF TV, the Inn at Franciscan Square, Pergolini Catering, Catholic Central High School, Newbro Photo, and our good friends at Hertz and Thrifty Car Rental.
Trinity Health System presents the Herald-Star Speaker Series, April 27th, 7:30 p.m., Lanman Hall at Catholic Central High School. Plenty of parking. what are you going to do on April 27th in the evening anyway?
That's right. You need to come. You need to come and hear General Hayden speak.
And we certainly appreciate your taking the time with us today.
And thank you. I'm Russ Galabreeze.
Paul Janamore, we're the Herald-Star, and thank you once again. Hope to see you at the Speaker Series event.
I don't think so.
I think we're good. You've got your book. You've got your sign.
Playing to the edge. And do you notice the jacket?
It comes right to the edge.
It's right to the
Printer's
edge.
trick. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Get out of here. I'm the chairman of the board.
He's the chairman, and I'm still board.